Hi, I welcome you all in this unique initiative by YuktMind, wherein we'll be covering a daily newspaper that is the Hindu within just 10 minutes. So let's get started and cover today's newspaper. So, first of all, we are going to discuss an important case which can either come as a case study or a separate question in ethics mains paper. So, it's about recent classified document leakage. So, a person named Jack Taxiera, 21-year-old, has been arrested for leaking classified information of the Pentagon, which was leaked on social media. So, according to analysts, it has exposed sensitive data regarding the war efforts in Ukraine of USA and also has harmed the potential fightback of Kyiv against the Russian invasion. Mr. Taxiera has been compared with the likes of Chelsea Manning or Edward Snowden. However, such comparisons would be misleading. The latest leak of US federal government information lacks the moral clarity and ethical underpinnings of the WikiLeaks files and the NSA global surveillance expose that Ms. Manning and Mr. Snowden respectively shared with the world in a bid to highlight the excesses of the US government and spur conversations on human rights, foreign policy, and privacy in the digital age. On the other hand, in case of Jack Texera, the 2023 Pentagon leaks have contentedly achieved nothing of this sort. They have only fueled insecurity between the US and other global powers, and it has also hampered the Ukrainian forces' war efforts. So, the second news is about the recent tiger census and the resultant increase in number of tigers in India. So the question is, can we democratize tiger conservation in India? So why tigers are important? They are considered an umbrella species, meaning saving tigers meant saving the entire ecosystem. So let us go back in history and discuss the background of tiger conservation in India. So much of the success of wildlife conservation in India has been attributed to the Wildlife Protection Act, which was enacted in 1972 by the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. It was enacted to arrest the alarming decline of wildlife across the country. So let us go back in history and discuss the background of. So, as per the latest tiger census, there are over 3,100 tigers in India. This number can, however, go up when the final figures arrive. So, uh, in 2018 and 19, tiger numbers were around 2,967. By mentioning only the figure of 1,400 plus estimated tigers in 2006, wildlife managers were able to claim and celebrate the doubling of the tiger population in 2019. So what we have done is we have taken a low base and then we have celebrated that we have doubled the tigers. But in reality, the original number of tigers that were there in ancient India have reduced drastically. So if we take a longer perspective of, say, looking at around 50 years of tiger conservation under the Project Tiger, we have held on to the population of tigers, but despite strong political support, funds, and the legal framework provided, the numbers of tiger does not reflect a great success story. This is something our government can think about. So, one of the criticisms of our tiger conservation efforts has been that we have compartmentalized the tiger conservation efforts in terms we have demarcated certain areas exclusively for tigers, wherein we have alienated the traditional forest dwellers and people living around the forest, which can help in this tiger conservation efforts. So what we can do is we need to have frameworks that allow local communities, citizens, scientists, non governmental organizations, and businesses to participate meaningfully in conservation so that all of us can come together and work for saving not just tigers, the entire habitat. So, the third and final news of the day is about the recent meeting of G7 ministers, wherein they have committed to move to carbon free power by 2035. Recently, climate and energy ministers and envoys from G7 countries on April 16 have committed to work towards ensuring carbon free electricity production by 2035. And they have also promised of accelerating the phase out of coal. So this was part of an agreement by the countries at the end of a two-day conference in Sapporo, Japan, ahead of G7 summit in Hiroshima this May. So before moving ahead, let me give you a brief background of the ongoing tussle between developing countries such as China and India with developed countries in terms of their energy requirement and energy sources. It's basically about gas versus coal. So, at the United Nations Conference of Parties, that is COP, meeting in Glasgow in 2021, India had objected to language in the agreement to phase out and pushed instead for a phase down of coal. So, coal is a very important source of energy or power generation in India. At the COP meeting in Sharm el Sheikh last year, that is in 2022, India pushed for a proposal to phase out all fossil fuel sources, which included coal and gas, because India is supporting coal production, whereas the Western world or the developed world is supporting their energy requirement in terms of gas. So, India and China are significantly dependent on coal for electricity, whereas several developed countries, including the US, Japan, Canada and Europe, are reliant on gas reserves. So, the latter, however, didn't find mention in the final text of the Sharm el Sheikh agreement. So, India was represented by our Environment Climate Change Minister Shri Bhupendra Yadav. He participated in the summit with India being invited as a guest, and it was in the context of India's presidency of G20. Our environment minister said that developing countries also needed finance, technology, and assistance from developed countries for transitioning away from fossil fuels. And the developed world has already made all such commitments regarding climate change. He made a very interesting statement. He said, reaching targets on carbon neutrality and increased ambition will not fly unless these targets are made keeping principles of equity and climate justice at the center. Thank you for watching this video. There's more where it came from. Please visit our website www.yuktmind.com. You can also follow us on our Twitter handle, Instagram, and Telegram channel. Thank you.